The oldest and strongest emotion of mankind is fear. And the oldest and strongest kind of fear is fear of the unknown. H.P. Lovecraft. We've all heard it before. A friend of mine told me this crazy story, or at least some version of that line. All good urban legends start with a totally true story that happened to a friend of a friend. Most of the time, the events told are completely outlandish and fantastical. But sometimes, if you peel back the embellishments, you'll find the roots of truth in the tale. Cropsey, the Boogeyman of Staten Island, is one such tale. In 1947, operations officially launched for the Willowbrook State School. A state-run institution for intellectually disabled children, Willowbrook was its own horror story. The school was originally designed to accommodate 4,000 children. By 1967, the population skyrocketed to 6,000. The facility was rife with abuse and scandal, and its residents were exposed to deplorable conditions and terrible staff who were overworked. The school was shown to the public in a 1972 exposé by American journalist, attorney, political commentator, and author Geraldo Rivera. Despite this, the institute ran until 1987, when the last of its children were finally sent on to other facilities. At the height of controversy, Willowbrook also became the home of Cropsey, sometimes called the Pied Piper of Staten Island, and other times the Boogeyman. Cropsey was a figure for children to fear. In the 1970s, rumors began to swirl as children started to go missing. People took to saying that a deranged mental patient had escaped the halls of Willowbrook only to remain on the grounds and live in abandoned buildings. He would roam the streets of Staten Island at night, prowling for wayward children. In some versions of events, the patient would wield a bloody axe. In other retellings, he would have a hook for a hand. The real Cropsey had neither of these things. To learn the truth about the man, we need to start on March 11th, 1944. On this day, the future urban legend would be born as Frank Rostam Roshan in New York, New York. He grew up in Ithaca, New York with his sister and parents. Not much is known about the Roshan family or the conditions under which the children grew up. Frank's father died when Frank was just 14 years old. After this, his mother was institutionalized at Pilgrim Psychiatric Center in Brentwood, New York. Frank would take his sister there to visit her. In the early 60s, Frank joined the military. He only served for a short time before moving on to other endeavors. Using the name Frank Bruchette, he got a job at the ill-fated Willowbrook State School in 1966. For 2 years, he served as a custodian, orderly, and physical therapy aide. Despite leaving his employment at the facility in 1968, he would periodically return to the grounds over the years, camping in the woods surrounding Willowbrook. Frank's first arrest would come on May 5, 1969. He would lure a 9-year-old girl into his car and take her to a vacant lot. He removed his clothing and then hers. Fortunately for the girl, a passing police cruiser came to investigate and interrupted the crime. Frank was charged with kidnapping and attempted rape. He pled guilty to sexual abuse and was sentenced to 4 years in prison. He only served 16 months before being paroled in 1972. After leaving prison, Frank would change his name to the one that will be forever linked to the Boogeyman of Staten Island, Andre Rand. By the end of the 1970s, Andre was arrested a few more times for minor offenses such as burglary. His name would be linked to a number of missing people and children between 1969 and 1987. But most of the time, there wasn't enough evidence to charge him. One of Andre's first suspected victims was 5-year-old Alice Pereira. While playing with her brother in the lobby of the 600 block of the Tysons Lane apartments, Alice would disappear without a trace. It was around 3:30 p.m. on July 7, 1972, when Alice's brother left her alone for a short time. When he returned, she was gone. Alice's mother would report her missing at 6:15 p.m. on the same day. Because Alice's parents were divorced, police originally suspected her father, but he was later cleared. Andre was also a suspect in this case because, at the time Alice disappeared, he worked as a painter for the apartment complex. Alice was never found, and Andre remains a prime suspect in her disappearance. Wild rumors of Cropsey were circulating. A few years would pass before police suspected Andre in another disappearance. On a July afternoon in 1977, 18-year-old Audrey Lynn Nierenberg was last seen leaving her family's home in the Canarsie neighborhood of Brooklyn. She told her mother she was going to buy cigarettes at a shop 2 blocks away, but never returned. Audrey had a condition called hebephrenic schizophrenia, a term that is no longer recognized or used as a subform of schizophrenia. Due to this, she was hospitalized multiple times between 1974 and 1977. Her condition caused her to get lost on occasion, and she had to call her father for help. When she disappeared, Audrey was an outpatient at Kingsborough Psychiatric Center in Brooklyn. Her family feared she might be a Jane Doe at a random psychiatric facility somewhere. The day before Audrey went missing, she went with her family to see a movie at the former Jerry Lewis Theater on Forest Avenue. The theater was adjacent to a campsite where Andre had previously stayed. This, plus his history, made him a suspect in Audrey's disappearance. Cropsey was said to make a home of the Willowbrook State School grounds. This was also where Andre's next 2 suspected kidnappings took place. Ethel Louise Atwell, a 42-year-old physical therapy assistant at the school, disappeared on October 24, 1978. She was on her way inside when she was taken. 2 female employees reported hearing a male voice say, "Come on, come on," and Ethel replied, "No, you'll beat me." After this exchange, the women heard Ethel scream, and they called the police. On the left side of Ethel's locked car, first responders found a tan pocketbook, 1 earring, 1 black shoe, 3 black coat buttons, and part of Ethel's dentures. Roughly 75 feet away, Ethel's car keys were found in the woods. The area was thoroughly searched, but no trace of Ethel was ever found. Earlier the same year, on July 20th, 44-year-old Shin Lee went missing from Willowbrook under similar circumstances. The nurse was walking home close to midnight when she vanished. Her body would be found in a shallow grave near the school on August 6th. She had been strangled to death. Andre was heavily suspected of Ethel's disappearance and Shin's death. But no charges were ever laid as there was no concrete evidence linking him to either case. In the following year, Andre would be accused of raping a young woman and a 15-year-old girl. Neither of them pressed charges. If Andre was behind the previous cases, it would seem as though he favored July to commit his atrocities. On July 15, 1981, 7-year-old Holly Ann Hughes was last seen near Richmond Avenue and Terrace Park on Staten Island. Holly's mother, Holly Cedarholm, had sent her young daughter to the Port Richmond Deli 2 blocks away from their apartment to buy a bar of Ivory soap. Holly was seen making her purchase around 9:30 p.m., but never came home. A month after her daughter disappeared, Cedarholm received a phone call from a man calling himself Sal. Sal claimed he was holding Holly prisoner and wanted to meet with Cedarholm. He said in exchange for Holly's return, Cedarholm would come with him and perform sexual acts in front of a camera. Cedarholm went with detectives to meet Sal at Penn Station, but the man never showed up. Cedarholm later stated she never believed Sal had her daughter and thought the little girl was probably dead. Shortly after Holly went missing, Andre was questioned and his car was searched. He told police he played hide-and-seek with Holly the day she disappeared. He also claimed he gave her money to buy soap because she was filthy. Witnesses stated they saw Andre's green Volkswagen circling the business where Holly vanished, and some saw the girl in his car with him. Cedar Holm would identify Andre's voice as that of Sal, the extortionist. It would also come to light that Andre's aunt lived in the same building as Holly and her family. Unfortunately, the case would hit a wall and stagnate for 20 years. In the meantime, Andre acquired a real charge. On January 9, 1983, while driving a school bus, he would pick up a group of 11 children from a Staten Island YMCA. He bought them all a meal and took them to Newark Liberty International Airport to watch the planes. He did all of this without the consent of the parents. Authorities apprehended Andre and charged him with unlawful imprisonment. He was sentenced to 10 months in prison. Just 12 days after Andre was released, another child disappeared from Staten Island. In the afternoon of August 14, 1983, 11-year-old Thais Jackson disappeared. She was last seen at 1:30 p.m. leaving the Mariners Harbor Motel on Forest Avenue. While her mother was sleeping, another resident of the motel sent Thais to get chicken wings from the Crown Supermarket in the 900 block of Richmond Avenue. When Thais' mother woke up around 4:30 p.m. and realized her daughter had been missing for 3 hours, she called the police. Thais' mother and uncle were both made to take lie detector tests during the investigation. They both passed and were cleared as suspects. Police would question Andre, and Thais' mother said someone matching his description would loiter in the motel parking lot. He also kept a campsite less than half a mile away from the motel at the Baron Hirsch Cemetery. Andre was never cleared as a suspect, but he was never charged either. The next year, 22-year-old Hank Gaffario would go missing on June 9th after a night out drinking. After being denied service at Mugs Away, Hank moved on to the Spa Lounge in the Port Richmond neighborhood and stayed there until the place closed at 4 a.m. After drinking, he went out for food and was seen at a diner with Andre. Hank vanished without a trace and wouldn't be reported missing until 7 p.m. Hank was described as slow, with an IQ in the 70s. He lived with his parents and brothers in the 90 block of Herberton Avenue. This was the same block as Andre, and near the building where Holly Hughes had lived with her family. Hank was never found. The next victim would also be Andre's last, and the one to bring him to the public's attention. A 12-year-old girl with Down syndrome named Jennifer Schweiger went missing on July 9, 1987. She was a sweet, friendly girl and sadly trusted the wrong person. Witnesses saw her walking with Andre before she went missing. Though he said he did not know the girl, he stopped making the claim when he was told people saw him holding hands with Jennifer. After a 35-day search of the Willowbrook grounds and surrounding area, Jennifer's naked body was found in a shallow grave near the school. Andre, who had a campsite in close proximity to the grave, had been arrested for kidnapping just 8 days before her body was found. He was to be held without bail pending a psychiatric evaluation. After the body was discovered, the police charged Andre with murder as well. During Andre's trial in 1988, the prosecution was unable to convince the jury that he had murdered Jennifer due to a lack of concrete evidence. In the end, he was only convicted of first-degree kidnapping and received a sentence of 25 years to life. While in prison, Andre was rather chatty with his fellow inmates. During conversations, he compared himself to Ted Bundy. He said he was just like the killer, except he liked children instead of women. Andre would also ask a fellow inmate who was reading a pornographic book where he could find a book like that, but with children. He claimed children enticed him. Andre allegedly confessed to the murder of Holly Hughes as well, but his lawyer dismissed all of his comments as prison boasting. In January 2002, police searched the yard of Andre's former home on Vreeland Street, Staten Island. They conducted the search in hopes of finding evidence to link Andre to the Hughes disappearance. Unfortunately, they wouldn't find anything. But this didn't stop detectives from working the case. First-degree kidnapping has no statute of limitations in New York, and police use this to their advantage. In 2004, authorities charged Andre Rand with the kidnapping of Holly Hughes. He would have been eligible for parole in just a few years, but was now returning to court. In October 2004, over 20 years after she vanished without a trace, Andre was convicted for the first-degree kidnapping of Holly Hughes. With a new sentence of 25 years to life attached to his previous sentence, there is very little chance Andre Rand will ever be a free man again. He won't be eligible for parole until 2037, when he is 93 years old. Urban legends are fun. They can be creepy, bizarre, and entertaining. But sometimes there is a thread of truth woven into the tale. And sometimes that truth is just as haunting as the story built around it.